Good morning and welcome to the 2020 Galveston Mayoral Forum. I'm Gina Spagnola, President and CEO of the Galveston Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we are so happy to have partnered with the Daily News on this really important discussion. We're glad that you are with us. Please share this. I know some of you are actually having watch parties, so thank you so much. It's a really important discussion that we're having with these volunteers. So first of all, thank you so much for the time some of you have already given and for the time that you're willing to give. One thing that they all share is that we all love Galveston and we all want to make it the best that we can be. So thank you so much for tuning in. Michael, thank you so much for being here this morning and for the partnership.
And thank you all for tuning in. And thanks to the candidates for braving the elements today and everything else and managing to get here. We're going to start off with having the candidates spend about 2 minutes telling us about themselves and telling you about themselves. And then we're going to ask them all some questions. I think Gina compiled her questions from chamber members.
Chamber members have submitted.
And I compiled some questions from Daily News readers and also from the staff. And we're hoping to have just kind of a nice, informative, relaxed conversation here, by the end of which you should know two things. One, you'll have a pretty good idea about why I went into print journalism instead of broadcast journalism. And you'll have a much better understanding of who these four fine gentlemen running for the mayor of Galveston are.
And before we get started, I did want to say that we are here live at Sea Star Base Galveston. It's a beautiful facility and we thank them for giving us the opportunity to hold this. We chose this because we are spread out. You'll see that each of the candidates are 6 feet apart. Michael and I are 6 feet apart. They have had the opportunity to wear the mask, but it's really hard when you're doing these lives, as you know, to understand what they're saying. So we've done the distancing. Everything is safe here. And so we hope that you will join us for the next hour as we begin our interviews with your 2020 candidates.
So the first thing we did was have the candidates draw numbers to see who would go first. And I believe that Mr. Casey, over here on my left, drew the short straw to go first. So he gets to begin by giving us about a 2-minute summation of himself and his platform as a candidate for the mayor of Galveston. So go ahead.
So thank you for having me. My name is James Casey. I am originally from the West End neighborhood where I've raised my children on the island, which went through Oppie, Austin, and Ball High School, which have now moved on to bigger and better things, and I'm an empty nester at this point. And I have had a blessed life on the West End, and I currently reside in the Tykeman Road area where me and my wife have looked for other avenues of enjoyment, and I thought what better way for me to enjoy the rest of some time that I have is to serve our city that's given me so much. And so through the 8 months that we've tried to get through this mayoral forums to an election process, we have went through horrible COVID-19 and setback 56 for fundamental our infrastructure, City Hall, but mainly project platform citizens, business owners, City of Galveston is here standing. Slowly, but with a vengeance, because I think that it's time for us to get on a new path and a new era of the city of Galveston. And my name is James Casey, and I'll be blessed to have your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Guzman? You're next. Yes, sir.
My name is Raymond Guzman. candidate for mayor, and my first goal as your mayor, with the blessings of God, is get the ball back to the people. My main concern right now is simple as this: the West End Islanders must have a voice, will have a voice, and with their problems, I will not forget these West Enders like others have in the past. That's number one. Number two, the homeless. We have serious problems. These people are forgotten. I will not rest until we help them in every possible way. Number three, the streets, public works, the water department, the park board of trustees, the port of Galveston. There's problems. No matter what the others are saying and painting it with a pretty brush, that's a lie. It's simple as I see it. I live here. It takes time to solve problems, but I will not retaliate it. I could go on and on. 2 minutes doesn't cover much. There's so much to say and so much to do up City Hall, and I will not retaliate their foolishness only run by a handful. It must be stopped. It will be stopped. I know it's hard to understand that. I hear voices behind the scene complaining, and I talk to some of them. Quit complaining. Get out behind the curtain. But they won't. They say, what I hear, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Thank you.
Dr. Brown.
Good morning. I'm Craig Brown, running for mayor of Galveston. For those of you that I may have not met, I'm currently Mayor Pro Tem for the city and District 2 Council Representative. This forum is so important today because it also brings about for us, the candidates, to give you our thoughts about the current actions and details of what's going on in the city based upon the new environment that we're functioning in. And I greatly appreciate the Galveston Daily News and the Chamber for putting on this forum to get our thoughts out there to the public. For the last 6 years, I've worked at City Council there. We've made great strides forward. We have infrastructure projects that are going on, and more infrastructure projects than we've had in decades here in Galveston. We have a partnership with the Port and the Wharves Board that is better than we've had in many, many years. And that can get better and better. And we have also a financial stability in our city that is best that it's been in many, many years and at an all-time high. But saying all that and the accomplishments that we have that have occurred over the 6 years, we still have challenges to face. This pandemic and bringing our businesses back and bringing back the residents in a more normal lifestyle needs to be addressed. We have hurricanes that we need to address and how we're going to manage those as they pop their heads up in the Gulf and in the Caribbean. And we also have just those issues that are associated with growth here on the island that we need to address. But if I am honored enough to be elected as your mayor, I'm prepared to devote my full-time focus to making sure these issues are addressed and moving forward, and have a council that functions under transparency, working with a dedicated staff. I think we can make this island even better than it is today. I'm Craig Brown, running for mayor. Thank you.
Mr. Keese.
Good morning, Galveston. My name is Bill Keese, and I too am running for mayor of Galveston. You know, Galveston is a national treasure. We should all be proud to live here. My platform is to ensure that Galveston is always recognized for what it is: a great place to live, a great place to do business, a great place to visit, and a great place for people to live, for families to grow up and raise their kids, for great education, for great infrastructure. My background is unique among all the candidates. I served 6 years in the Texas legislature. I've owned my own business before. I've been a corporate executive, and I was, for 28 years, the executive director of a national business trade association, doing a lot of work in Washington, D.C. A lot of the issues facing Galveston in the future are going to need assistance from outside our island boundaries. I have the experience and the know-how to reach to Austin and Washington, D.C. to help us make Galveston all it can be. My family came here, my wife's family came here in 1840 from France. Debbie and I have been coming here all our lives. I retired from Austin and we moved back to the island 2.5 years ago. My father proposed to my mother on West Beach, so we have a long history here. Galveston is unique, and the mayor's role is very unique also. And the mayor can do great things to bring Galveston together and to build for the future. Again, my name is Bill Keese. I'm running for mayor, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and we apologize, and Mr. Casey's going to love this, but we're going to have him do another introduction because no one could hear him. So we're so sorry. It's not your fault. We were having some issues with the sound, so go through it again. Thank you.
All right, guys, my name is James Casey, and I'm proud to be here running for the mayor of the city of Galveston. I am a home builder from the west end of the island in Sea Isle. I've raised my family on the west end. I have had extraordinary success on this island, and it has been greater to me than anything I've ever known in my entire life. My children went to Austin and Ball High. They're out of the house and in college. I'm married to a 25-year marriage of a 7th grade girlfriend that I'm madly in love with. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm pro-business. I think we have some issues at the city level that can be helped by new city council members and a new mayor that has the people's voice in mind. I'm looking to be elected on a platform that is about its people and its businesses and not of its friendly friends of boards and trustees. It's far past time that the people have come together and that had public services administered through this island and quit overlooking people that have been asking for these changes for years. Our platform is going to be specifically cleaning City Hall, taking care of more infrastructure problems in each district where everyone has ample opportunity. And I would like to be able to set the agenda so that these things get done and on a timely manner. And we really would appreciate your support. Once again, my name's James Casey, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you. I'm sorry that you had to go through that again. And so we're going to start with the questions, and I believe Mr. Casey will start with you. They drew numbers ahead of time, but we're not going to stay with you, so we will rotate that first question spot.
Fine.
Okay, first question from the chamber members. What are the 2 most important issues facing Galveston today, and what is your plan to address them?
I think 2 of the most major issues facing Galveston today would be its streets and drainage, probably would be the top of the line. But currently, under the COVID situation, I believe that our businesses and their families and our friends are in dire need of the city's assistance to lift some guidelines and regulations to let these businesses flourish again, as they've been starving and losing everything they've put into their life and their livelihoods in the last 8 months. I think this coronavirus might be with us a short term, or it may be with us for quite a few, or it could be with us for a decade. It's our new normal, and I do believe that businesses must come first. Without our backbone of small businesses on this island, we're nothing more than a pile of houses and condos. But our businesses make Galveston unique, and people come to enjoy the island experience because they want a little bit of island life. That's why we all live here. And so it would be my opportunity to try to work with everybody and bring us together that we can help these individuals out in their time of need.
Thank you. Mr. Guzman, same question. Two most.
I can't hear you. You got a very soft voice.
Oh, I do? Thank you. I always thought it was so loud. What are the two most important issues facing Galveston today, and how would you address them? And if y'all would, please, when you're talking, look into the camera because you'll be speaking to the audience, not us. I know, so that's okay. But if you'll just look into the camera because they're. I know it's confusing, but two most important
Pelican Island is the only resource that I always.
Mr. Guzman, use your microphone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There you go. You're
I thought I
good.
had one of those rig-a-dee deals.
You're okay. Start
Pardon
over.
me. Let's start again.
Start again.
Thank you. Jobs is one of the main issues, and the streets and the water. But jobs. But with this Cobra, China Cobra, I call it. I like that what Trump said. It's the truth. But it dragged, it slowed us down. Now, after 6 months or whatever, things are moving, but at a slow pace. Now, the people know right from wrong. They caught on to the regulations, the rules. I can understand that. Don't take their freedom away. City Hall needs to get back in full gear, even though they all got to wear masks. And these people with certain positions of City Hall must be accounted for. This is for a fact, in my opinion. I'm not dressing a pretty brush. Everything is nice at City Hall. I'm not going to swallow it. And you're suckers for falling for it. Pardon the French. It's simple as the truth. I see it in my eyes, and Mayor Pro Tem sees it the way he sees it. He's up there. He knows the books. I don't. Once I get in there, there will be changes. Make no point, make no doubt about that. I go on and on. But believe me, City Hall is corrupt. It's a buddy-buddy system, a racketeer. He can say what he wants and paint it with a brush. Everybody is doing beautiful. I'm not swallowing that, and you're suckers for falling for it. Thank you.
Mr. Brown, you're next. Dr. Brown.
The most important issues, and I'm going to bring up, if I could, 3 in my time. First of all is maintaining the balance here for quality of life for our residents and for our businesses. That's a constant issue that we address, we need to address. From the standpoint of the businesses, that's what our IDC committee is for, and making decisions at council that are supportive of these businesses, especially as they come back from this pandemic. We have a redevelopment authority that I have been pushing for a number of years to make sure it becomes the economic development arm of our city, and that has occurred, and we are now moving forward with that. But also, as I mentioned, balancing the quality of life with our residents. And that's done through many different ways. That's improving the infrastructure, maintaining public safety, and having proper number of police officers and firefighters to support this community, cleanliness, code enforcement, those types of things play a role, and also addressing our housing issues. We are getting ready to work with Vision Galveston and their group, with their consultants, to bring forward recommendations on addressing our housing for middle income workforce. That's extremely important. Drainage is so important. I have championed putting together a master drainage plan at the city that is being formulated. It's almost finished, and it looks at not only the drainage solutions that we think about, but it also brings forward solutions that are involved with making sure that we look outside the box for drainage type solutions on that. And the third is financial stability, and we need to make sure that we have good financial stability at the city. That's the role of the council, and we have done that.
Mr. Keese, no, sir. We're going to go through and let Mr. Keese has his opportunity.
The question is the two most important issues facing Galveston. I would list as the top priority is openness in government. You know, decisions are made every day in the City Hall. It is important that all stakeholders be involved in that decision-making process. And the timing of decisions is important also. That is a key to bringing people together, to unity, to building a team to move forward, is openness in government. And I plan to do that. Associated with that, of course, is our infrastructure. Businesses are hampered when we have flooding. People are hampered when we have flooding and they can't get to schools, can't get to their jobs. Roads are important. We've done a very good job of doing that. We need to continue building our infrastructure, but we have a long way to go. And I think finally is the quality of life that we bring to bear. People of Galveston are of the utmost importance. People support businesses. People bring families in. People build a community. And above all, Galveston will be a great community. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Now, gentlemen, what do you think about the city's property tax rate? And if you think it's too high, what specific programs, services, or people would you cut in order to reduce taxes?
And that goes to Mr. Guzman. You're first on this question. We're rotating.
Sorry about that.
Property tax, I don't have the book. I'm not up there like, oh, pardon me. I'm not up there. I can't answer the question. I'm not up there to see the books. So let's be honest. I want to rebuttal what this man said. I'm sorry. This is my time. He's in my district. And he talks about water, streets. It took 1 year for me to get a pothole fixed in my street. Some mayor pro tem you got. It took Jim Yarbrough to address it. And he told me up there, did they finally fix it? Yep. Over a year. I could go on and on. My water was filthy. I called City Hall and complained. They don't return no calls. They did nothing. Yeah, City Hall's functioning real good. Yeah, keep believing that one. Thank you.
I believe Mr. Brown, you're next.
If you repeat the question, please.
Yes, sir.
We'll repeat it each time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of the city's property tax rate? Is it too high,
Well,
just about right? And what would you cut if you were going to cut?
Well, the property tax, we were almost currently at 58 cents per 100 valuation. Council will be approving this Thursday, possibly our budget and the property tax rates. We've reduced it 2 cents to 56 cents. And I feel that at this point that's appropriate amount. There has been talk about reducing that even more, but we have potential liabilities at the city that we need to safeguard. You know, when you set that property tax rate, you can look at that from a short-term vision and you can look at it from a long-term vision. And I think it's healthy to do both. We felt that we needed to lower that property tax, and the tax cap has allowed us to do that down to the 56-cent rate. I think that's appropriate. But we also have liabilities, as I mentioned, at the city that we need to be cognizant of. We have issues still with our pension plans that we need to address. We have issues with our health insurance that we need to set forth. And also, we're right in the middle of a pandemic right now, and we're out still in hurricane season. So we need to be cognizant of having those reserve funds available so that we can manage any catastrophe or any emergency situation that arrives. So at this point, I think reducing our tax rate 2 cents is appropriate. I would be for reducing it again next year, and from that time forward, I would be for reducing that tax rate as much as we can each year in the future. Thank you.
I believe the tax rate that we currently have, that the City Council has currently established, is appropriate for the level of services that we demand on the island. I think they've done a very good job managing our money. I'm a taxpayer also, and I feel very strongly that I'm getting my value for my tax dollar. But I think taxes should be lowered, and how do we do that? We can best do that by expanding our tax base. I believe we should have a very aggressive program for business relocation to the island, to attract high-tech industries to island, to bring people and jobs and businesses that can fill our empty spaces and provide an additional source of taxpayer dollars. A city is what you want it to be. We can starve a city to death. We can make sure that the city is run efficiently. And I believe the council has done a good job to make sure this city is running efficiently. We need to continue that, but we need to build for the future. And with that, the appropriate thing to do is to expand our tax base, bring more citizens to the island to live, bring more businesses to the island.
So tax rate in Galveston, it is extremely high. It makes it unbearable for some middle income to low income families to even establish or even own a home here. And investment of investors have a lot to do with that, because single family homes that come available that are in the cheaper median price range are snapped up almost instantaneously, pending on the MLS the same day. I can't even buy them. That's how fast they go. I think when you start talking about taxes and money that the city has, I think you really need to look at the different entities and the functions of the different integral parts of the city, where you would go down the street on a job, because I'm a project manager. I'm more like a business analyst, and what I look at is 7 to 8 employees per man hour working on a city crew while one has a shovel in his hand. I'm looking at 13 pieces of equipment that are not running, but one guy's waiting on the rest of the crew to get there. I think mismanagement of employee hours, waste, expenses could be slashed in ways that would just blow people's minds. What happens is, when you get a city job and you have city employees, is that it is not driven by productivity. It is a job. We're going to go to our job every day. We did this for the last 10 years. We got 10 more to go. You know, that's not my vision for the city of Galveston. My vision for the city of Galveston is more along the lines of, these employees love their jobs. They may be incentivized to do better, especially their supervision. But thank you so much.
Right, thank you. Okay, Mr. Guzman went first last time, so correct. Dr. Brown, we're doing this. We're staying in order. Dr. Brown, will you, this is going into the fall and winter seasons, will you support minimal restrictions on businesses relating to COVID-19 as we enter the fall and winter season, sort of our slowest months, and just sort of what is your idea?
Would you describe?
Will you support minimal restrictions on businesses going forward relating to COVID-19?
Are you, just clarification, you're asking, should we continue to have
The question was submitted to us as just, would you support minimal restrictions going into, as we go into some of the slower months, knowing we don't have special events and things? Could some of those current restrictions be lifted on the small business community? I mean, all the businesses, but primarily small business.
Thank you for the clarification. You know, the restrictions on the businesses has been a very hard thing for many of these businesses, all of the businesses. And it's heartbreaking to hear some of the stories that have occurred. The restrictions that we're functioning under now are basically from the governor of the state of Texas, with restrictions of social distancing and mask wearing and things like that. There are restrictions also on the restaurants. The bars are currently closed. I think personally that the governor is listening to his health authorities to help make these decisions. In my knowledge and my communication with individuals at the state right now, I think the governor is waiting for Labor Day to be over before these may be changed. I personally feel if the positivity rate in the community warrants such, I think we need to start relaxing these restrictions. And that's going to be very important for these businesses to relax those if the particular infectious rate supports that. So to maintain minimal restrictions on businesses, I think that needs to be there as long as it's appropriate from the medical standpoint. But I do see these relaxing, and I would support that. And as you notice, we did not close our beaches for Labor Day, and that was, I think, a good decision on the city's part to do that. It was supportive of these businesses, and it allowed the city to at least play a role and support those businesses where we could.
I believe also that our restrictions on businesses should always reflect the minimum amount for public safety. I think we should look at the benchmarks that are used to determine public safety, the positivity rate, the weather, the contact, but it has been a big burden on businesses as well as individual people. But we need to protect all people. We need to protect not only our businesses, but we need to protect our citizens. And as we move into the fall, there are different prospects on the horizon. Some people say we could have another reoccurrence, a spike in COVID. Galveston, with fewer visitors, should be fairly protected from that. But I believe that we should look at what is appropriate health-wise, but consider the benefit to everybody. It's important that we get business back running like it should be.
Oh, Mr. Casey.
James Casey again. Government overreach in the public's lives. I'm a Texan first, and I'm a Galvestonian. And if you know two things about that or me, you know that I don't like to be told what to do. And I was listening to Mays Middleton on a talk show radio the other morning, and I had listened to him about how it was unconstitutional from the Texas Constitution to block the people's right, unrestricted access to the beaches. The city does not own those beaches. They belong to the state of Texas. The city enforces laws either through the GLO and or police activities on those beaches. But I will not be restricted from my right of movement any further in this business. You can look at countries like Sweden who wore masks and they social distance, but they did not shut their business, and they had about the same positivity rate, but their economy did not collapse. You've got 40 million Americans without jobs. When you shut down the lifeline and the blood of our country, it affects everything down here, the smallest island of Galveston. You're going to have people that will never recover financially. I am, to be mayor of Galveston, I am totally about less restrictive activities. We are not children. We do not need to be policed. We are grown adults, and I believe through social distancing and wearing masks, and being cautious. If you have underlying conditions, don't go out, don't go to a restaurant. You can have your food delivered, but I believe opening our businesses is paramount. And it's also un-American to put us in a position where you could destroy our very lives.